Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to make an attempt to turn this into this. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, first thing we're going to do is try to make the body of Pikachu. We're going to roll around this piece and kind of squeeze it down a bit because he is a chunky boy. And once we have that, we'll move on to the rest of his body. Let's see how this goes, guys. Please forgive me because I am not a clay expert. I'm going to use this little tool to kind of round up the bottom to make his 2 feet or where the feet are going to go. But yeah, I am not a clay expert. I've done some clay stuff before. However, it's not perfect. I just like doing clay and I like having fun with it. It is Christmas, so I thought, why not try to make this ornament? All right, so while we continue to try to mold the leg portion of the figure, I think that looks okay. Maybe some shaping on later on. We're gonna grab a piece of wire and stick it in the top like so, just to have it ready for when we build the head. To make the head, we're just gonna go ahead and use a ball like this and try to shape it. He's got that mouse shape to his head, so we're going to make an attempt to make it as close as possible as we could and then place it on top of the body so we could go on to more detail. There you have it. Doesn't look like much now. Actually, it looks kind of like a Mimikyu, a bootleg Mimikyu, but you'll see later on it's going to look awesome. Okay, now that we have the head, we're going to go ahead and make the ears. We're going to roll out a piece of clay like so, point it out at the top a little bit more, and then we're going to squeeze down on it just to get it that Pikachu ear shape. Once we have that, we're going to place a piece of wire that's already been on the head. We're going to place it into the ear just to make it connect to the head, and there you go. You could either shape it, leave it like that, or you could blend it in with some sort of tool. And then one ear's done. Let's get the other one taken care of. All right, here we have the second ear. We're going to go ahead and place it into the second wire. We're going to put this one a little bit sideways because it's just going to look better that way. Blend it in, try to blend it in as much as possible. It's kind of sideways, so we got to extend a little bit. And we'll blend both of them in like so. And then hopefully it looks okay. So I think the ears is probably one of the harder parts, but there you have it. That's pretty much it. Kind of bend the tip a little bit to give it even more detail, and that's it. All right, next up is going to be the legs or the feet. We're going to go ahead and make a little roll, squeeze it to make the feet, and then cut 2 little lines to make the toes. This is probably one of the simplest things you could do for this. And we're going to go ahead and once we have that done, shape it up a little bit, stick it onto the bottom and one side. And then we'll go ahead and make the second one. And voila. Here it is, the 2 feet. For the arms, we're going to roll up 2 pieces, similar how we did the ears as well as the legs. And we're going to make the shape of the arm, and obviously just like the leg, make the little indentations to make the fingers, and roll it around so it's all the way around. It's not a big deal, but it's a little bit better detail. Then we're going to place it on the body wherever we want it, and kind of squeeze on one of the sides on the top just so that it could blend in better with the body and it's not bulking out. And then once you have that set there, you're just going to go ahead and blend it in with the body however way you please. It's your ornament. Do it however you want. And there you have the one arm, and we'll get started with the other one. Right, there's the other arm placed on the body. He's waving, but this is a Christmas ornament, so we're going to make this Pikachu a bit more jolly. All right, here we have the little Santa hat that we're making. We forgot to hit record when we started, but it's just a triangle with a little poof that we made indentations in it to make sure that it looks like fur. And then this strip we're going to utilize to make the bottom detail of the hat, which is also going to have the little indentations similar to the top. So we're just going to cut it up with this tool. Obviously, an X-Acto blade would be better and easier, but we're gonna go ahead and do it with this because that's what we had at the moment. All right, now we're gonna make the details on the hat. So we're gonna put that little strip on the hat to make the bottom furry part of the hat, and we're gonna cut it to size, obviously, because that strip is way too long for that hat. And then once we cut it to size, we'll get started on making sure that we roll over the clay with the tool to flatten out the creases and try to get it as best looking as possible. And then we'll get started on making the indentations to make it look like the fur, similar to how we did on the top. And you'll get to see this step here since we missed it for the hat. For the top of the hat, you'll get to see this step here on how we did it. But it's very simple. You're just making marks to make it look like fur. All right, as we finish the hat, we'll go ahead and show you what it looks like when it's sitting on top of Pikachu's head. There you go, festive little Pikachu. Now we're gonna get started on making the scarf, and it's gonna be a very similar process than we did with the actual, the bottom piece of the hat. So we're gonna roll this piece, we're gonna flatten it out, and then we're gonna cut it to the shape that we want, a little bit thicker than the one that we did for the top. Form it, make it look a little bit better, and then we're gonna wrap it around Pikachu's head. And this is going to serve two purposes. One is going to be for it to make Pikachu look more festive. And the other one is going to be to cover up the line between Pikachu's head and his body. And that's going to save some time when it comes to blending. That way you don't have to blend both pieces of the body. You could just use this scarf to cover it up, but you don't necessarily need it. To get rid of the creases and the markings, the fingerprints from when you're sculpting, you could utilize one of these tools. It's called a smoothing tool, or you could use rubbing alcohol with a brush. Now we're going to be making the shape of Pikachu's mouth with this tool, and then we're going to be using one of the ball tools to get the indentation that is needed to give it some depth. And we're just going to go ahead and push it in the clay, and that should give it the depth necessary to make the indentation for Pikachu's mouth. So this is going to make it look a little bit better than just drawing it onto the actual head. All right, now that we have his mouth indentation done, we need somewhere to hang it from. So we're going to utilize this hook that I've created, and we're going to stick it in the back of Pikachu's head where it's going to be hidden by the hat, but it's going to allow you to hang it on a tree or wherever it is that you would like to hang it from, and put his leg back on because Pikachu has two legs, not one. All right, we're going to place this in the oven in a oven safe sheet or plate, and 200 degrees for 20 minutes. Now that we have the body baking, which is going to take 20 minutes, we could go ahead and make the tail. We'll get a little piece of clay and fan it out, draw out what the tail is going to look like, and then we'll go ahead and cut it out using a blade because it's easier. So once we get the blade and we have the tail cut out, we could go ahead and place it together with the baking sheet. This didn't take much time, so it would be baking for about 15 minutes or so. And that's going to be plenty of time because it is a very thin piece of clay. Plenty of time for it to harden in the oven together with the other stuff. All right, this is what the Pikachu looks like after it's been baked and painted. And after it was baked, I glued on the hat. And then I also glued on the tail because it's easier to do it that way than to bake it with those pieces on already. Then you could use some fishing wire like you see now to make a loop around the back to make sure that you could hang it onto your tree, which is definitely what we're going to be doing. Once you have completed everything, this is what it would look like on your tree. This is what it looks like on our tree. If you enjoyed this video, let us know in the comments below if you want to see more tutorials like this one. In the meantime, go check out these videos where we show you guys how to make stands for your Pokemon cards. We'll see you guys on the next one.